You can talk now.
All right, we're live on blogtalkradio.com. ArchAngel A Return to Chivalry. You just go to Blog Talk Radio /ArchAngel A Return to Chivalry. I'm sure we're up on 7Av Radio too as we speak, but we'll be leaving 7Av Radio in February. So until then, you know, if you want to hear us on Blog Talk Radio /ArchAngel A Return to Chivalry, or you can go to Facebook. What is it? Facebook.com/ArchAngel Chivalry. And you can have Facebook Live. That's Facebook.com ArchAngel ArchAngel Chivalry. No Return to Chivalry on the ArchAngel for the Facebook. Alright? So now that we're up on Blog Talk Radio, let me tell you what we're about again for some of our new people that's listening in, because we're going all around the world right now. So, ArchAngel A Return to Chivalry is where we move in character development back to an era when it was seen as a privilege to do the right thing and extend a friendly and helping hand along with a loving hug to everyone. This is what ArchAngel is all about, you see. Some of you people have already heard that, so this is definitely what ArchAngel is about. We're about the privilege of being able to do something for somebody else simply because they're people. There's no thought of return, there's no monetary gain, there's no status gain, there's nothing. It's just the right thing to do. And we extend a friendly and loving hand along with a hug. Hugs are great. I love hugs. I think they're the most. Who invented them? I give them a big kudo. Go on out there with yourself and invent hugs. I think that was a wonderful thing to do. Alright? So today we're going to talk about judging. Okay? And before we get started, all you people who would like to call in, get your pen and paper ready. Call in at 323-870-4069. I'll read that back. Call in at 323-870-4069. I hope all your copies right. If not, you won't be able to call in and we can't check it. So I may never know. Alright. So let's take a look at judging here for a minute, because we don't have any real musical audio anymore to interrupt us a lot. Now, when and why do we judge? Okay? Because everybody judges. Everybody likes to judge. We all do it. We all say we don't do it, but we all do it anyways. We all judge people. And when do we judge people? All the time. We just do it all the time. Yeah. And why do we judge people? That's the question. And how do we judge people? That's the other thing. When we judge others, do we judge them because we know what it is we judge them for? Or no, we don't do that. We don't judge people based upon what we're judging them for. You know? We judge people on who we think they are. And then we juxtapose all that who we think they are onto why we're judging them for. Like, just for an example, like liberals judging conservatives and conservatives judging liberals, right? First thing you got to do is know the person to be able to judge them. Not just know the person from knowing their name, but you got to know whether they're an introvert or an extrovert. Somebody who's self-contained within their self and really don't come out of their shell and want to interact with other people and stuff. This may be some conservatives. Or somebody who's an extrovert who wants to put on purple hair and jump up and down and go right out there and make movements happen for the rest of the world because they feel as though the rest of the world needs their help in making movements happen. You know, that's an extrovert. And then we have to know the person's likes. To judge a person, you have to know the person. You have to know what they like. Do they like McDonald's or do they like Burger King? That makes a difference. I don't know why, but it just might make a difference. Not a big difference, but really what they like. You have to know whether they like to be somebody who doesn't see themselves as a victim, but acts as though they've been victimized all their life. Some people may actually like that. That might be what they really like to do. Or are they somebody who really doesn't care anything about people? That individual looks at somebody, it's like, I don't care anything about what you want to do. I'm here to make money and entertainment for me. My pleasures come first. You don't have any pleasures, but my pleasures come first. Then you got to know what their dislikes are. You got to know whether some people, to judge them, you have to know what they dislike. Do they dislike the Patriots? Do they dislike, football altogether? You don't know. The light's not on, that's why I got the shadow. Yeah. But we don't know. We don't know these until we start looking at them. Are they soccer fans? Are they whatever? Are they religious? Do they dislike religion? Do they like religion? These things are important when it comes to knowing what a person is before you start to judge them. They used to have that old saying, is walk a mile in my moccasins, before you judge me, I say moccasins because I have a lot of Indian ethnicity. Now you know a little bit about me. You know that I have Indian ethnicity. You may not have known that before. You might have just decided that I'm whoever it is that you want me to be. And I may not even care enough about whether you think anything about me or not to tell you, oh no, that must be the other guy. That's not me. These things happen. And then there's a big one that's hard to judge because you people are not sophisticated enough to know these type of things because they don't have the education in that area. Hidden mental difficulties. There's a lot of mental difficulties out there that we see the people every day and we don't even know that they have some kind of difficulties. I think that's one of the reasons that depression is such a big thing today. Because we chalk up everything as, oh, they're depressed. They may not be depressed. They may have bipolarism. They may be schizophrenic. They may be a narcissist. They may be a sociopath, but we'll lump it under depression or something like that goes along with that so that we can judge them in a more positive light because now they have a mental disorder. So that's the empathy part, That's where there's a relationship with judging and empathy. See that? How we work that in? It ain't a big relationship, but it's kind of a small relationship. We feel as though the person who has a mental category or mental diagnosis, we're better able to love that person because they have a mental diagnosis, and it's a bad reflection on us to judge them in any negative way because they have a mental diagnosis. But we didn't know they had a mental diagnosis, We didn't even know they were a person. We didn't see them in any of those things. We just judged them because they were liberal. So you're a liberal, so we juxtaposed all the liberal actions upon that person. And we didn't really, the only way we knew the person was a liberal is because he said, I'm a liberal. And now you become all these ill things that come around with liberalism and stuff. And now, not only do you become them in our eyes, but you actually have to act them out. You have to take on all the different kind of liberal personas that are out there. If you don't, then there's something wrong with you. And I'm using liberals just to be nice because we do it a lot more when it comes to the racial divide. If you're black, you have to act like this. If you're white, you have to act like this. If you're white and you're judging some movement that's black, you have to act like this, and you're supposed to take a leadership role, which I don't understand in the first place, because you don't know nothing about that person. You ain't looked into what the people are really dealing with. You know, all you know is the issue. So say what is Black Lives Matter. So if the white people take an issue on a positive issue on Black Lives Matter, they say, and I quote, Black Lives Matter. And now they're good liberals, and they're really nice people, and their hair shines and everything, because they now, you know, it's not dirty anymore. Dandruff has gone away. All things good has been bestowed upon these people, because now they understand the plight of black people, because they said Black Lives Matter. You know, they've judged that Black Lives Matter, and they've shown empathy to the movement Black Lives Matter simply by saying Black Lives Matter. If you ask them, what is it like to be a black person? I don't know. You know, what are black people like? Well, I don't know. What do black people dislike? I don't know. Oh, they dislike Blue Lives Matter. Yeah, that's what they dislike. And they all these other things. Yeah, I know what they dislike. Do some black people have mental disorders? I'm sure they do. You know, the person has absolutely no idea at all what it's like to be somebody else, because they didn't look at them like that. They just judged them, and they shown empathy by saying Black Lives Matter, which means absolutely nothing to them, but it's something good for them to say. So, do we judge others based on what others say? Obviously, yes. You know, yes, it's right and proper for people to take on the hardships and take on a positive understanding of everybody's miseries on the planet Earth, because that's a good thing to do. So, is it right and proper for everybody to do this? And we judge everybody. If you don't take on all the things that have to do and deal with whatever it is that you're championing for a liberal movement, because it is a liberal movement. I'm doing it right now. I don't believe a lot of conservatives take on. They don't really care. You know, that's the image that's been projected on the conservatives. They don't care, and the liberals overly care. So yes, we do that. And the person, do we know the person's character, or do we even know the character of the issue that we're taking on? So if we're taking on, like I say, I'm going to stay on Black Lives Matter, because it really works pretty well, I think. So if you're a white person taking on the issues of Black Lives Matter, then you know, you don't know the character of Black Lives Matter. It's been pushed around in a way so far. You forgot, or you didn't know, you weren't there at the start of Black Lives Matter to know that it was started about the police shooting black men and killing black men by 2 women. Yeah, that's what it was started about. But if you weren't at the beginning, you may not know that. So you may not know the character of Black Lives Matter. So you don't know. So you don't know what the people really like or after that are in the movement of Black Lives Matter from the beginning. You may not know what they want, what they dislike about the way society is treated the issues, or what they like about the things that have been gained through the issues. You may not know this because you really don't care. You know, your empathy can't reach that far. it can only reach as far as your nose in some regard when you're thinking about Black Lives Matter. A lot of people think about Black Lives Matter simply because it's something that's a little bit of a social gathering within their community or within their social reach, and then they can go in there and feel comfortable by saying, and I'll quote it again, Black Lives Matter. What's it mean? Don't know, but gonna say it anyway. You know, and they can feel comfortable within this, and they can also feel they'll have a lot of empathy in this here. They'll feel as though, you know, I really feel how these black people feel about Black Lives Matter and how the issue that is brought up really is. And as soon as I find out what that issue is, I'm going to feel it even more. You know? And that's a good thing. Now, I'm only using Black Lives Matter because it does fit, at least in my mind, anything. The kind of negative little things I'm saying about Black Lives Matter, I really don't believe. I believe Black Lives Matter is a very good organization for the time at hand right now. I believe at the time at hand, I'm just getting off the subject a little bit. Right now, I believe that the civil rights movements that's taking place in America has come to a standstill. And with it at a standstill, that something like Black Lives Matter does still maintain some kind of cardio output and stuff. It's a little bit of CPR that's keeping the civil rights movement alive. You know, I believe that everybody's waiting for something to happen so that these type of things take root and start to grow and start developing into something bigger and better, so that all peoples can benefit from the freedoms that this country offers. But right now, I think that Black Lives Matter is a very positive organization for giving people what they need right now at the time. And I also, like I say, I do also believe that there's many people out there who weren't there at the beginning of the movement of Black Lives Matter, who do not know what started it, do not know where it came from or where it wants to go. So to them, all Black Lives Matter is really about a few words that say Black Lives Matter. And a lot of the people that fall under that thing are white. There's no reflection on the color of their skin or any reflection on any other thing other than that where they come from, their character, their likes, their dislikes, whether they have any mental issues or any of those things are unknown to many people who engage in Black Lives Matter from their spot within this world. You know, they don't know. Yeah, so yeah. Do we judge others based on what others say? Yeah, that's what we do. The people who support Black Lives Matter, who come from the middle class neighborhoods and are white from those middle class neighborhoods, they judge the issue of Black Lives Matter based upon what they said, not what the black people or whoever it was, the two ladies who started the Black Lives Matter movement says, and what the Black Lives Matter movement says itself in the beginning, but they judge the Black Lives Matter on what they say. Right, you know? And then when they say that, they say, well, we're judging it based upon the way the other people are being treated because they said it, and that's not true. What is the truth is that their empathy comes from themselves. Their empathy comes from what they know, what they can relate to, and what they feel. And that's all right. That's totally all right, but this is what makes a whole lot of things get a whole lot of out of shape and stuff like that. So here's a little bit on empathy, all right? From this guy, Paul Bloom. He has a new book out, and I don't even know the name of his new book. And he said that the act of feeling what you believe others feel, experiencing what they experience. That's empathy. Now, from his point of view. Paul Bloom's point of view on empathy is the act of feeling what you believe others feel. Right? Experiencing what they experience. But that's not how it works when you put judging in there. You judge from your own lens when you're judging something like that. And when you start to judge, the empathy's coming from, alright, where do you think it's coming from? That's right, your lens.
I have a question, Troop. Troop, do you think that looking at it from your own lens, while it could be considered judging, but do you think sympathy comes from that too? Because sympathy is when you look at something from not your from something like I can have sympathy from someone in Aleppo, the families that lost their lives and lost family members and stuff like that in that bombing, but I've never been through that, so I can't really relate. So I can sympathize with them and empathize, but not empathy with them. I can empathize with them.
Yeah, you can't have sympathy. You can have sympathy for them.
Okay.
You can have sympathy for them in the form of empathy, right?
Okay.
If you say, I believe I can feel what you're feeling, but I really can't experience what you experienced.
Okay, right.
That's why his statement isn't all that factual for me. The act of feeling what you believe others feel. You can do that. You can sympathize. But the real experience in what they experience, you didn't experience that.
Right.
So the empathy is not sympathy. The empathy is empathy. That's just something that you feel. You felt, you believe you can feel. You can only feel it through the own, that must hurt.
Right.
That must be really devastating. All those poor people. You can't really feel their hurt or anything. Just like that's why I'm using Black Lives Matter, because it is an issue. You can't. The white people living in suburbia, they can talk, they can empathize, and they can really be supportive of what it's like to be a black kid living in some rural neighborhood where the police are so scared that the first thing they're going to do is shoot somebody.
Right.
They can act like they can feel what that kind of life is, but they can't feel the trembling that's inside of some person. They can't feel the fear that they might have walking down the street just to go to the store. If there's fear at all, they can't feel that.
So that's like you have, when someone says you have no idea, that's in response to someone who says, that must have hurt. Yeah. And then that person who actually got hurt says, you have no idea how much it hurt.
Yeah, right. They're experiencing what they've experienced. You can't experience what they experienced. Right. You can experience the loss of a child,
Yeah. But that even could be different, right?
Sure, because you can't feel the experience of a loss of a child that you can't experience being the child before he's lost.
Right, so I can experience the loss of my son, but I can't experience the loss of Bobby, who belongs to someone else, because I have never met Bobby and I don't know Bobby.
Yeah, and you don't know Bobby.
So I don't know what the losses of Bobby really brings.
Yeah, you really don't know what the loss of Bobby brings to that family. You can assume that it's going to bring hardship and sorrow and all these things. And probably 99.9% of the time you'd be absolutely correct. But there is that 1/10% that says, nah.
Thanks, Drew.
He didn't do good. So Paul Bloom goes on to say that the empathy is like a spotlight that can be directed, that can direct the attention where it is needed. See what I'm saying? Or what he's saying? I believe it. I agree with this one. That empathy is just like this spotlight. It can direct all your attention right here. You can put all of it right here. But everything else around that doesn't exist for you. You don't know what that is because the spotlight is so focused. And that's how we go through life with empathy. We look at empathy through our own lens, and our own lens, even if our lens is huge, is still a spotlight. Our own lens can only look at those things that our lens can look at and what that spotlight shines upon. So if the spotlight is shining from an affluent white society down upon the plight of a inner city bunch of people and stuff, can they feel what it's like to be an inner city person? No. No. They're fluid. I mean, you could take it right out of the Bible. When the guy said, to Jesus, he said, Jesus, what did he say? I forget what he said. How do I get to heaven, you know, and what do I have to do? He said, well, first sell everything you got and then come with me. You know, my boy said, I can't do that. He said, I got too much. I can't be selling all that. I like what I got. So, you know, he could never feel, and Jesus knew that, and he said, it's harder for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. And that's the same thing that you're doing with this empathy and the spotlight. It's harder for the camel or the Hummer to go through the eye of a needle than it is for people of any walk of life to really have that solid empathy with somebody else's walk of life. Not impossible, mind you. Nor was it impossible for that rich guy. He just couldn't sell it. It's harder. It's not impossible. I'm sure that there's a lot of affluent people out there. I remember one time, this is years ago, when I was with Joe Kennedy. And Joe Kennedy was first running for his representative seat. And Joe Kennedy apologized. The first thing he did when he got up on stage, and this was down in Boston State, in the auditorium, Boston State College. I don't know if it was the College of Art there, but he apologized to the whole audience. You know, he apologized to the audience for them. You know, his apology wasn't about him. His apology was to them, telling them that I'm rich, but that doesn't mean that I can't feel and help in any way that is going to fit what you guys need down here, but you have to tell me. You know, and I thought that was really powerful, because he said, because you have to tell me. Yeah? Oh, I got that easier in camel stuff all backwards. It's easier. I don't know what it is. Some camel.
It's easier for a camel to get into the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven.
Yeah. Something like that. So that's a good thing. But back on Joe Kennedy, he didn't say that I can feel your plight. He didn't say that I'm rich, so make amends and let me do this thing. He went out there and told me, yeah, I'm rich, I'm a Kennedy. But you tell me what it is that you need and I can help you. Because he had the power. You know, he didn't have empathy. He didn't have sympathy. He knew he had the power. Because if he had to come at that with the empathy lights here, he would have been in a spotlight position where all he could see is all that he would see. The knowing of that, he would not be able to experience what it's like to be living in Mission Hill, in Mission Hill projects or something like that. Even though that was the area he represented. He know what it's like to walk through Mission Hill and Mission Hill project. He know what it's like to talk to some of the people that he walked through Mission Hill and Mission Hill project. He also know that he was with Troop and several other people that could walk through there at any time they wanted to and not be disturbed. You know, so he didn't know he didn't know what it felt like to walk in those moccasins, you know. But he did know that if you tell him that this is what's going on, this is what I don't like in my neighborhood, I'm voting for you, you're the representative. Now, you hear what I don't like? How we gonna change it, and how you gonna change it by taking the lead? You the power. You know, he can do that. He can do that, but he couldn't do the empathy. Because empathy is always focused on what is in the light. Like I said, the narrow little spotlight. That's where empathy is always focused. It's not any place else. It's not focused on It's more focused on your lens than it is on anything else. And that's what the problem with judging is, when you're judging and then empathy comes into your judging. It's better to judge. If you have to judge somebody, judge them by those things. Judge them by who the person is. Judge them by the likes they have. Judge them by the dislikes they have. Judge them if they have any mental deficiencies. But don't judge them on your lens, because you can't do that. And that seems to be what we like to do now. We judge things on our lens. And our lens is way too narrow to be able to look at anybody else's through our lens. Nor can they look at us through their lens. You know? A poor person really may not be happy in an affluent neighborhood. You know? I don't know. I would assume they wouldn't be. They've grown accustomed to some of the likes and dislikes that they have in their neighborhood, the friendships that they made with their neighbors. I'm sure if they could take everything from their neighborhood and make it into a neighborhood that is affluent to them, that has incomes coming in, that has clean streets, that has spotlights, that has all these things that people in the suburbs seem to have, that people in the city don't have, they'd be happy as they could be, because they'd be affluent too. But if you take the person and say, okay, I'm going to take you and I'm going to give you a whole food or something like that, coupons and stuff, so that you can eat the food that we eat in the suburb. There'll be puke all over the streets. They don't eat that. It's like, that's nasty. There's no taste to it. There's nothing to it. It's like eating cardboard, you know. So it's like, at least I'd be. I don't find it. I don't eat that, you know. So that's something with the lens. A little comical, but something with the lens. So empathy also reflects our biases. That's what I'm saying. When I'm saying about you can't take them from here to put them there. It's judging. And it's not just biases. People is not just black versus white, white versus black, minorities versus white, anything like that. Biases are your likes and your dislikes. And if you're judging somebody and your biases are the only thing that you understand when you're judging that person, because you don't know their biases, you didn't take time out to look at their likes, their dislikes, or any of those things that go around with it. So empathy and judging really are two bedfellows that should never come together. They really don't do well when they're working side by side. So this guy Bloom, he insists that we are something incapable of empathizing with more than one or a mere handful of people at a time, because we have limited emotional capabilities, right? That's our biases, you know. That's our lens. That's our spotlight. That's the way we see things, through our own lens and stuff. And that would be limited emotional capabilities. Right? And he would be correct in that, because he uses the example, you know, you see a little baby, and I'll add the flies to it, you know, the poor little starving baby, just like Tupid did over there. I showing him respect, you know. You know that's so sad and everything, and I really have the sympathy and feel bad for the way these people have to go through this misery and stuff. But if he turned around and he could have looked over the hill that the tornado done wiped out 20, 30, 40 houses that did the same thing, but you didn't see that on the news, you know, or you saw it, but it really wasn't that emotionally connecting for you because there were too many people. We do that a lot, you know. Sometimes sometimes we get a notion within our head, and our empathy comes into something that we can identify with through our lens, like our Katrina. We can all identify with water coming in the deluge and flooding out everything, because it is not just in our Bible, the Christian Bible, it's in every Bible in the whole world that has had a flood. So we've been raised and programmed from our birth to identify with some kind of natural disaster, especially when it comes in the form of water. You know, we can relate to it. So all those people down there, we could relate to the situation. We couldn't relate really to the hardships and the way that they felt. And I was in Houston at the time, and I was at the Reliance Stadium. I was taking people off the buses and stuff when they came through with Katrina. You know, and they were the saddest looking people I'd ever seen. They were not in a good place physically. Mentally, by the time they got from New Orleans to Houston, they had formed little help groups among themselves, and everybody was not happy, but everybody was taking care of everybody else. So I was expecting all kinds of moans and groans and weeps and all these things when the door to the bus opened to get them up, and they weren't like that. They weren't like that. They were well glad to be there. They were hurting and stuff. They were dirty and they needed a bath. But, you know, but they were not downtrodden, and they were not feeling as though they were down and out and were giving up. They were upbeat. And that came because they had empathy within themselves right there. They had a common denominator. They had all been through this hardship together, and they banded together. And all those people, for that little bit of while, they went away after several weeks, but for that while, they were able to pull together as a unit to be able to take care of themselves, so that and they were able to get the help that they know they had to wait and get for. You know? I mean, one thing made me mad. I'm taking these people off the thing and triaging them on the bus, and then I'm taking them into Reliance Stadium, and I have to walk by Papa Bush's wife and all these other politicians here. The second thing I have to walk by is a stockpile of food and water, and I'm like, do you think they could have moved the food and water at least out of sight, or given these people some food and water first? No, I got to take them by this food and water in a place where the politicians were all set up for the TV cameras and stuff. I did not appreciate that. But see, all that empathy that they had, the people that were down there giving all that help, some of the people were down there and they felt really bad for all these people, but they were taking care of the business that they had to. I don't know if people are hearing any kind of statical difficulties or anything. Oh, good, because I'm hearing it, but that's okay. That's okay. I can hear it. You know, I can do stuff like that. Yeah. So see how that empathy works with the judging? There was no judging in that situation. If there was any judging, it was based upon their own biases, all the poor people and stuff like that, and it was crazy, you know. So empathy can also distort our moral vision, yeah, which will affect our judging of others. Because, you know, sometimes we don't see the moral vision of that there. I'm sure that there were some people that even in their heart of hearts at the time that all kinds of mean, nasty, devilish things are happening to people. Some people say, well, that person deserved it because their lens is small. You know, they don't know the person, but they know the environment, or they think they know the environment he came from, or they think something else is happening, so they put this little thing, well, they probably deserved it. Yeah? I mean, they may not even voice it out loud, but their lens might be talking that type of lens. And that goes both ways, folks. All these things of empathy and judging, it's just not from the affluent down, from the whites looking at the black. It goes both ways. Blacks have their own biases against white people. White people have biases against black people. You know? Back on Black Lives Matter. But I'll stay away from Black Lives Matter. Alright, for a little while now, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to change the subject. Right? And I'm going to put a commercial in, because I've never put a commercial in. I want to put this little shout out and a little tiny commercial while I change this subject over to fitness, because we only got a segment left.
Hi, I'm Trooper Joe of ArchAngel, a return to Chivalry.
Hear that?
And I want to tell you about the best Thai restaurant I've ever been to. Basil and Spice Thai Cuisine. The most flavorful and authentic food you can find. It brings a taste of the Orient to the Western world. Take it from me, Trooper Joe, you will not be disappointed. You can contact them for their professional and wonderful catering service. At Basil and Spice Thai Cuisine is located at 299 Shrewsbury Street, Worcester, Massachusetts, 01604, behind Funky Murphy's, 774-317-9986. Have that fun. This is Trooper Joe.
Don't like my shirt?
Hey, this is your boy Truth It, and I'm inviting you Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. to tune in to the 5 o'clock shadow at blogtalkradio.com/the 5 o'clock shadow. On the 5 o'clock shadow, we talk about current events, and nothing is off the table. So make sure you're there. Keep it locked for the 5 o'clock shadow. Now back to ArchAngel, a return to chivalry.
All right, I'm back. How you like those commercials? Are we going to be having more and more commercials coming in? Not too many, because I like to talk a lot. So I don't want to, well, I talked about it anyways, but I like talking, so we're going to do that. But right now we're going to switch and we're going to talk about fitness. Because I'm sure that there's thousands of millions of people who have made New Year's resolutions on fitness. And I'm also sure that the thousands of millions of people who've made New Year's resolutions on fitness are going to fail. And they're going to fail because they approach it from the wrong venue, the wrong avenue. Right? They don't really understand what it's like to be fit. And in not understanding the way to be fit, you know, they go in a good hard-earned money to some trainer who's watched a video on YouTube or something like this, and this is the latest, greatest type of exercises, and you do this and you're going to be fit and all those things like that. It doesn't work, folks. It doesn't work. To be fit, you need to be three things. You need three things to be fit. And it takes a long time to get some of those things. One, you have to be flexible. And that's not just the physical flexible, you have to be flexible with your time. You know, you have to put that time in there. Some people might say, no, you got to be rigid with your time, but no. You got to be flexible with your time. You have to find time to put that exercise in, even if you don't want to. No excuses. The other one is the physical flexibility. You have to be flexible within your body. You have to be able to at least touch your knees when you bend over. You have to be able to reach your hands above your head. You have to be able to straighten your arms out to your side. You have to be able to at least kick the ankle of your other foot. You have to have that starting place of flexibility. You know, so if you go to a gym and you get a trainer and he says, okay, I'm going to have you do these things with this rubber band and all this stuff like this, and this is going to build you flexibility. You might want to consider whether that person really saw this on a videotape or they really know how to use the rubber bands when it comes to developing the flexibility. It takes a minute to develop that flexibility. And so the second thing, you have to have endurance. Yeah? Endurance is key. Endurance keeps the heart pumping. Endurance keeps the breath moving in and out. You got to be able to breathe if you're going to exercise. All the mental exercising in the world ain't going to do anything for the body. help the mind. You'll be knowing all kinds of good statistics and everything about it, exercising and flexibility and strength and all this stuff. But I can't do it myself because I can't breathe. You don't have endurance. You gotta have endurance. It takes time. And that's the second part, because the flexibility of your ankles, knees, thighs, hips, all those things like that, your back, your shoulders, makes you able to be flexible enough to start. That's the key word, folks. Start a program that's going to have endurance in it. And then there's strength. After you get the flexibility, after you get endurance, then and only then do you wish to start working on strength development. And there's hundreds of ways of working on strength development. I'm going to go through a couple of little ways I think is best to work on strength development. From flexible and endurance type of thing. I think it's best to start with the flexibility. I think it's best to start stretching at a very, very comfortable, easy thing. Don't go into some yoga thing and think that you're going to stand on one foot and then bend over between the other foot and wrap your legs around and then look over the top of your back while you're bending over to see if somebody's coming. It ain't going to happen. But you can start at your pace. You can start at your level. If you can only reach down while they're doing some kind of toe-touching, stretching exercise, and you can touch the top of your thigh, that's fine. This is where the thing starts to come into play. Don't be satisfied with being able to touch the top of your thigh. Now you think, I'm going after that knee. Don't think I'm going after that toe. Just think I'm going after that knee. Don't put a time limit on it either. But just think, I'm going to get that knee. And then you start reaching for that knee. Slowly. Don't push it to try to get to that knee. It's a slow process to get to that knee. Same with reaching your hands over your head. Especially with women. Women don't put their hands over their heads. They, for some reason, it's against the law to show armpits in a picture if you're a woman. I think you go to jail for that. If you ever take a picture of a woman and the armpits are showing, you're getting locked up, folks. So we would help you out in that regard. They don't put their heads above their heads. They don't do that anymore. Even the police know that. When they tell you to assume the position, you reach out sideways against the wall. Nobody goes above their head anymore. But you need to be flexible enough to put your hands above your head if you're going to do some kind of exercises, because they're going there to do exercises. And then this thing like the endurance factor. Endurance is key. Endurance isn't just running a marathon. Endurance might be walking up a flight of stairs. Endurance starts small. And if you're in the gym or in some place, or even in your house, if you're lucky enough to live in a house that has stairs, walk up the stairs. Walk down the stairs. And then walk back up the stairs, and then walk back down the stairs. You start to develop endurance. You will get tired, and this is something, folks, you will get tired and out of breath because you went into oxygen debt. I don't care how fit you are. If you don't walk up and down stairs all the time, the first thing that's going to happen is you go into oxygen debt. It'll smooth out the better developed you are, but the first movements that you make are going to be anaerobic, working without air to walk up and down those stairs. But walk up and down the stairs like that, and then you'll start to develop endurance, and that with the flexibility. And then there's strength. You can do all these things right at home. You don't even have to go to the gym. You can do strength development by, here you go, you walk up the stairs, you walk down the stairs. You lean, maybe you got a door right there. You put your two little hands on the door. Now you do a push-up off the door or off the wall, depending upon what it is. You might have a weak door, so you don't want to break it. So you do a couple of push-ups, maybe one one spine to start. Then you do a squat. May not look like a squat, but it'll be a squat to you. I guarantee it'll be a squat to you. It may only go down 2 or 3 inches, but those 2 or 3 inches coming back up is going to feel like a mountain is being moved to get back up. Doesn't matter on your size. It's just that you're not flexible enough to reach your knee. What makes you think you'll be flexible enough to do a squat? You won't. You're out of breath from walking up and down the stairs. So don't worry about that squat, folks. If it's 2 inches down, it's still beneficial. It's a place to start. And that's what everybody needs to be at, is a place to start. So let's look at this. Flexibility is the king if you want to reach your goal. Flexibility is the king. Even if nothing else, work on that flexibility. Because it'd be the most embarrassing thing in the world, and you will get upset if you're walking down the street and you see $100 bill and you can't pick it up. You're going to get upset. So even for anything else, be flexible enough to pick up some money that you might see laying on the gutter. It'll give you motivation to be able to do something. Because other than that, you can ask somebody, could you pick that $100 up? Oh, thank you. And they go away. Because you can't chase them. You got no endurance. Even if it was your $100. So, and even if you catch them, you ain't got no strength to do anything anyway. So all you can say is, you might be very intellectual and say a whole lot of big words to call them names, but that's about as far as that to go. So flexibility is the king, folks. You must be flexible and you must maintain that flexibility. Because you never know what's going to happen. You might trip, and all of a sudden you tripped and you rolled, and you didn't get a overbearing injury and stuff because you were flexible. And then, just like flexibility, endurance is the queen. If you can't breathe, you can't exercise. And I just gave it to queen because I went king and queen, So endurance is the queen. You have to be able to breathe to be able to do exercises. If you go to any training, he's got you panting like a dog and stuff like that, and then continues to have you pant, then he's wrong. He should be someone, or she should be someone that's savvy enough or educated enough to know that this is the time when you put in the corrections. This is the time where you say, here, get some water and let me tell you what you've been doing wrong, and we'll work on fixing those there so we get the mechanics right in how to do that. This is where that comes into play. But if you get a trainer who just keeps pushing you, push through it, get another one, it's not time. Later on now, if you develop and you want to be sports specific, because I think sometime during your physical rebirth that you want to challenge yourself to do something that you always really wanted to do. And that's where a trainer like will say, all right, push through it, you can do this, and you can do that. But you would have had the flexibility or gained the flexibility and the endurance to be able to do that. And once you gain those type of things, that's powerful. So that's the strength aspect of it. Now when we look at strength, I think that strength, like I said first, we should approach strength from your body weight. And I say that because just because you're a big person, say you're a big person, you're 350 pounds and you're standing 6'4",
Well, you got it almost right, except for the 6'4" part, Troop.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. A big person carries weight. Them little tendons and stuff like that, they're not muscles. The ligaments, they're not muscles. Those are little flexible connectors for cushioning and stretching and doing stuff. They're not for strength development. So if you're a big person, don't go adding more weight to yourself. Not yet. Maybe later on down the line you might want to add some weight to your regimen, but not at the beginning. You don't need it. You got plenty, you know. And even if you're a little person, there's a lot of people that right now I feel as though, and I would like to talk to a couple of the vegans about this. I think they're skinny fat now. They look real thin and they look real like, when they put the clothes on, they look and make the clothes look as though the clothes are supposed to look like. But they have no muscle. They have no muscle tone. They don't have any strength. They don't have any endurance. And they don't have any flexibility. So they're not fit. You know? And I think a lot of people is falling into that trap for the aesthetic look, rather than for the physical fitness look of things.
What about their energy levels, Troop? Are their energy levels high?
I don't believe their energy levels are high. I think that they have pseudo energy levels because they don't do anything. You know, but then you got the ones that do athletics and stuff like that. They're fit because they're flexible, got endurance, and they have strength. They're athletic. But the ones who just maintaining an aesthetic look through their diet, on a vegan thing, not eating this, not eating that, not eating this. They ain't got the energy. You know, firstly, I don't care how they think it's going to work. You ain't got the energy to do it. You know, it's just not there. So for strength, I think that strength first should be started for people when you're first starting out on your New Year's resolution. No matter how you look or how you feel, just use your own body weight. And then as you progress, and take time in your progression too. You know, don't think you're going to progress to be able to be doing 50-pound curls in each hand in a week just because you're big. That ain't going to happen. You know, one, you're going to tear up all those ligaments and all those tendons because your flexibility won't be there enough. So the resistance on that, you know, the curl by this way is going to be really putting a lot of pressure going this way. It ain't not going to help. So take your time, folks. Use your body weight. And then my suggestion to anybody who really wants to get in shape after they've reached those levels where they are flexible, where they have endurance, and they're starting to develop strength, the lifts I would suggest everybody should do or should put into their regimen are Olympic lifts, the clean and jerk, you know, the snatch. I suggest those two lifts are the basis for any type of power, any type of flexibility, any type of endurance and strength after we do that. And why do I say that? Because Olympic lifts go into an anaerobic, they give it anaerobic benefit. And remember walking up those stairs, I said that people first as they walk up those stairs and stuff, they start to feel and they're panting like a dog, they're out of breath. That's because they're in that oxygen debt's going to come. Now to regroup themselves, that comes from the anaerobic thing. So working without oxygen, and that's Olympic lifts. You're getting down into a position and then you're pulling through all your body, all your tendons, all your flexibility, all that motor kind of, what do you call that thing? Your mechanical design has to be in shape, and all those things take place for you to do the lift. You know, the flexibility above the head with the snatch to get that up there and stuff. And the feeling you're going to get when you do a snatch. Not some people get some feeling really nice when they do a clean and jerk, but there's no feeling like in the world doing a snatch from the ground. I don't even care if you're just snatching the pie. If you get that thing and you feel that weight go back beyond your head and you're underneath it and you catch it underneath that there and there's no wobble and you stand up, that's powerful, folks. You get an instant rush on that and you say, I'm going to do it again. You know? So I suggest for the anaerobic benefit to develop Olympic lifts. And then the next thing I suggest is powerlifting. Deadlifts, squats, things of that nature. Military press. Those three, like those three are the meat of the powerlifting stuff: the deadlift, the squat, and the military press. And then the bench press is like the potatoes that come in there. It's cool. But the bench press really, Westerners got involved. Oh, look how much he can bench and stuff, but he can't pick the bar up over his head because he ain't got any flexibility. He's just not built like that. So the deadlift, pulling the weight off the ground, not a dead roll lift. There's a difference, folks. If you're going to put that bar out in front of you and you're going to roll it back with you and throw your head back and pull it with all your might like that, get a chiropractor, because eventually you're going to injure yourself. You're going to hurt your back. Sooner or later, that lift is so terrible. So if you're going to approach powerlifting or Olympic lifting, get a coach too. Get somebody who understands the mechanical dynamics of all these lifts. The power lift, the squat. That's another thing with squats. Most people do squats where they squat down from the waist. It's like they think they're going down low. They done did the 4-inch squat and then they did a good morning. Their whole body leaned forward and they thought they're going down, but they're really not doing anything. They're doing a good morning. That's beneficial, but it's not that. And then the military press. There's 2 different forms. You can do the military press. Just do it with a light weight and just squeeze your hands together so that you feel your whole body tense. Don't bend your legs and push the bar straight up. Those are the beneficial military stretches. Much more beneficial than the other one where you got the bar resting on here and then you dip your whole body down and then thrust it up. That's a thrust. You can move more weight than the other way, and you can look, depends upon which girl you're trying to pick up, or you girls, which guy you're trying to impress. But if you want the real benefits from the press, do the other one where you squeeze and then press up slowly. And then there's repetitions. Using dumbbells, barbells, and stuff like that in a repetition way. You want to keep the repetitions moderately high. If you can't control the weight and you can only do 3 reps, don't even go there. Unless you're doing something for strength at that time. One of the 3 or 4 strength exercises, the big ones like deadlift, squat, and military press, and the bench press. If you're just trying to do some biceps and you can only get 3 reps with 50 pounds, don't go there. It's too heavy for you. And if you're swinging your body to get the reps and you think you're doing something and your arm was already in a 90 position and all you did was bring your body down to meet the dumbbell and then you brought your body back up, you ain't even curled anything. You just bent over and grabbed it and brought it back up. So don't go there. So keep the reps low, keep them firm, keep the elbows, keep everything in the mechanical line. This is where you need your trainers for. After you got a real good trainer to establish your flexibility, endurance, and then your strength, for your strength, that's when you need your trainers. And then after that, after you learn what you need to do, you can fashion your own design because you know you. You have to know who you are to be able to do something. If you don't know that, then you won't be able to do it. Well, that's just a little look at the fitness. And that was a little look at the judging and how it correlates and relates to empathy. Alright, well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in on the new station. What station is that?
blogtalkradio.com/Archangel A Return to Chivalry.
And watching live on Facebook.
Have that fun.
And have that fun.